I'm excited to dive into some real-life conundrums and moral dilemmas with you all today. Get ready for a journey into the complexities of human behavior as we explore the fascinating stories from the amethyst community. Am I the butthole for calling out my mill for using the N-word as a joke? My wife, 31 female, and I, 34 male, have been married for 3 years. For context, I'm black and grew up in Baltimore, where certain words, especially the N-word, are absolutely unacceptable, no matter the context. My wife is white and from a much smaller, more rural town, and we've always had a great relationship despite our different upbringings. Recently, we visited her family for the holidays. During dinner, my mother-in-law made a comment about how I must be able to handle the heat in the kitchen because I'm from Baltimore, then dropped the N-word in some bizarre attempt to make it into a joke. The entire table went silent. I was stunned and just said, "That's not funny." She laughed awkwardly and said, "Oh, come on, it's just a joke. Don't be so sensitive." I responded, "That's a word that isn't acceptable, and it doesn't feel like a joke to me." Later, when I brought it up to my wife, she said I was overreacting. She told me that her mom has old-fashioned humor and didn't mean anything by it. She also said I should work on respecting her family more, and this has spiraled into a bigger argument between us. I understand that her family has a different way of joking around, but I feel like this crossed a major line. Am I the asshole for speaking up about it, or should I have let it go to keep the peace? And now for the next story. Am I the butthole for refusing to give my son's newborn photos to his father's girlfriend? For some brief backstory, my son's father began dating a new girl in February-March of last year. In June, we had a conversation about the new relationships we were both in, and what our expectations were of the other, regarding our son's exposure to new romantic partners. There is a custody agreement in place that outlines some rules such as when to introduce, and no cohabitation allowed. I essentially said I wanted to be notified of any additional exposure our son had to the girlfriend and her children, such as if she was going to be looking after him for extended periods of time, spending the night, etc. I specified that I was not asking for him to seek my permission, but I wanted to be kept up to date on how involved this person was going to be in our son's life. Our son is currently 5 years old. The past 6 months, my son's father and the girlfriend have refused to communicate at all about my son's exposure to this relationship. The girlfriend was added to the daycare pickup list without my knowledge. It was then discovered my son and his father were spending the night with her and her 2 small children on occasion, and ultimately, they moved in together and worked to lie about it for about 6 weeks before it was outed during a heated verbal conversation on Thanksgiving Day between myself and the girlfriend. She confronted me about how aggravating it was that I changed the plans regarding my son's drop-off pickup time. Keep in mind, up until this point, all drop-off pick-up times have been mutually agreed on by myself and his father, almost always a day in advance. Since then, they applied for a marriage license to avoid being held in contempt of court for violating our custody order, but did not get married. They have also either outright refused to communicate with me about my son while he is in their care, or operated on extremely limited communication during their 4-5-day visitation stretch. I make it a point to send photos of our son anytime his father asks, give timely updates about his well-being, and FaceTime if my son asks to talk to his dad, which he does on occasion. Earlier this week, I received a text message from the girlfriend asking if I had the files from my son's newborn photoshoot saved to my computer, as she had reached out to our photographer, WTF. And the photographer no longer had the gallery, and my son's father doesn't have a copy either. I do not want to give this woman these photos. I appreciate that she is trying to make a home for my son, but I also feel she can integrate their lives, while acknowledging that there was a part of my child's life that she was not around. I would also feel wildly different about it if my son's father was asking for the photos directly, because I feel he's entitled to them. She is not. Am I the butthole? Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Not the butthole. I would take him back to court for violation of the current order. I would ask the court for both of them to take parenting classes. I would also ask the court for all important decisions, medical, daycare, school, etc., be made by the father and you. You don't know the girlfriend, for she is a stranger, and you never know what she can or will do regarding your son. I would even ask the court that your ex and current GF do not consume alcohol in your son's presence. Put it all out there in court and go from there. I was going to say you should respond lol. Yes, of course I have the photos of my son, why wouldn't I? And immediately block her, but yeah. This is what a reasonable adult would do. I had the no alcohol rule in the custody order for my oldest. My ex was pissed because his family is a bunch of alcoholics, and he was living with his grandma who always had a beer in her hand, even when driving. Hopefully she was never driving with your child in the car. Hopefully, but I wouldn't doubt that it happened. I know he violated that clause several times. Once by taking my toddler to the lake and leaving him alone on the shore, while he and his relatives were all drinking and racing around on speedboats. The idiot bragged about it as if to say I'm cooler than you. We had such a fun time. Yeah, my sunburnt red-headed 3-year-old was so thrilled. My in-laws drank while driving back in the day. I hated it, and them for being so immature and irresponsible. His grandma kept a mini cooler full of beer under her seat and would pour it in a plastic glass and claim it was tea if anyone asked. She got pulled over multiple times for DUI and driving the wrong way on a busy street. When we were still together, I realized how bad it was when we went out for a family dinner, and his whole family thought it was hilarious to encourage his grandma to steal the mug of beer she had with dinner. She literally got a refill and carried it in her coat out the door to drive home on her own. She had a bunch of beer glasses like that, apparently. And now for the next story. Am I the butthole for giving my daughter a car, but her sister's no car? When my daughters turned 15, I made each of them a promise that if they didn't go around our backs and secretly smoke until they turned 21, I would buy them a car, within reason, obviously. Our oldest Haley, now 25, broke that promise when she was 16 when we caught her smoking. Cynthia, now 23, broke that promise when she was 18, but later admitted that she had already tried it when she was 17. Both them, fortunately, don't smoke anymore. When it happened, we were disappointed and somewhat mad, but we talked about it, again, about the risks. We realized we couldn't really stop them if they wanted to. They didn't seem that upset about the promise, and probably thought I wasn't serious. But our youngest, Jennifer, now 21, never smoked. She was honest about this, and her sisters also said Jennifer never smoked. After she turned 21, she came to me to talk about the promise. While I was hesitant, I wasn't going to break a promise I made to her. So I bought her a car. This did not go over well with Haley and Cynthia, who argued it was really unfair. And they are now really mad at me. Their mother, my now ex-wife, also said that I shouldn't have bought Jennifer a car. Am I the butthole? Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Not the butthole. It seems the facts aren't in dispute. No one is contending that Jennifer secretly smoked, and no one is contending the wording of your promise. It just seems that some of your daughters don't like the consequences of their actions. You would heed the to Jennifer, if don't keep your promise. To break your promise would be showing favoritism to Haley and Cynthia. You set out the clear terms of a contract. One child saw fit to follow the arrangement and earned the reward. Good for her. Don't think of it as buying a car for one, but not the rest. You gave each child the exact same opportunity. You treated them equally. Not the butthole. Exactly. Not the butthole, obviously. Usually these kinds of stories go awry when the condition for the gift is applied ex post as an ad hoc justification. You clearly articulated that not smoking is the price of the car. The first two did not meet that condition, but the third did. There is no issue here. To deal with your wife, ask her if it is more fair to deny Jennifer a car, which would break your promise, or to piss off your other daughters. Someone is going to get mad either way. Might as well take the option that's more fair. It has nothing to do with his ex-wife, and he shouldn't even acknowledge her input. This is between him and his daughters, and he did the right thing. And now for the next story. Am I the butthole for telling my fiancé's family that I won't be a stay-at-home wife after overhearing their secret conversation? I, 28 female, have been engaged to my fiancé, 31 male, for a year, and we have been together for 5. Everything has been greater, so I thought. Recently, his family invited us to a weekend getaway at their vacation home to celebrate our engagement. I was excited to bond with them since they've always seemed polite, but distant. The first night, I went to bed early while everyone stayed up drinking. Around midnight, I woke up thirsty and went downstairs for water. That's when I overheard my fiancé, his mother, and his sister talking in the kitchen. His mom said, "Well, once they're married, she'll finally quit that silly job. No wife of this family needs to work." His sister laughed and added, "She better learn how to cook too. You can't expect fiancé to eat takeout forever." But the worst part? My fiancé chuckled and said, "Yeah, he'll handle it. She'll come around once we have kids." I stood there in shock. We had talked extensively about how I wanted to continue my career even after marriage and kids. I make good money and love my job. He always agreed with me, or so I thought. The next morning at breakfast, I couldn't hold it in. I calmly told his family, "Just so we're clear, I will not be quitting my job or becoming a stay-at-home wife. And if that's a problem, let me know now." Dead silence. His mom looked horrified. His sister smirked, and my fiancé turned bright red. Later, he pulled me aside and was furious. He said I embarrassed him and his family, that I should have talked to him privately. I told him I was more embarrassed that he lied to me about supporting my career. Now, his family thinks I'm disrespectful, and my fiancé wants me to apologize. My friends are split. Some say I should have confronted him in private, others say I had every right to speak up. So, am I the butthole for calling out his family like that? Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Not the butthole, but girl, the red flags that are waving. His family is talking disparagingly of you, in a way that implies it's not the first time. Instead of defending you, your fiancé laughs and joins in. When you bring it up, he gets angry and says you were the disrespectful one who needs to apologize, totally deflecting responsibility for the situation. They're shit-talking you behind your back, but you're the disrespectful one? Nah, that's not how this works. You need to take a hard look at how supportive this man actually is, and how well your life goals align. Because it seems like he's giving you a lot of lip service to lock you in before he changes the game. Premarital counseling wouldn't be the worst idea either. Not the butthole. They were being deceitful and disrespectful, planning out a life that is not theirs to plan. Shame on your fiancé for going along with it. They owe you apologies, not the other way around. Honestly, I'd rethink this relationship and marriage very carefully. Your partner has shown he's not supportive of what you want in life. He's shown that he talks behind your back and discusses issues with his family about your private relationship. That is none of their business. And he's lacking basic respect for you. I had a hard time trusting him. He sounds like a control freak. Is this what you want in your life partner? Not the butthole, but totally the wrong question. He should be your ex-fiancé. He is deceiving you about who he is, his actual values, and whose opinions matter to him. Not yours, his family's. He isn't going to change. You're alone and outnumbered in this relationship. Totally agree with this comment. He has been stringing you along by agreeing with you, but privately having an entirely different plan for your life. Like and subscribe for more awesome daily Reddit content. And don't forget to hit the bell to get notified when I upload new videos.